Ronna, and before I introduce tonight's guest, I have one quick announcement. Last week, the film Bowling for Columbine was postponed due to weather. It's been rescheduled for February 8th. We didn't get it on the calendar for this week, but I hope people come. It's going to be at the Providence Center on State Street in the Harris Place, February 8th at 6:15. So I hope to see you there. Tonight's guest is Daryl Finizio. I know he's making the rounds a little bit around New London over the last month and probably the coming 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 months.
Or 10. Or 10.
Or 10. And Daryl is the first person to have declared his intention to run for mayor of New London. As all of you must know, last November, New London voters overwhelmingly approved a charter change that shifted our form of government starting next November to a mayoral form of government with an elected executive who has very wide powers. And so candidates, prospective candidates are starting to appear. And Daryl is the first, so welcome.
Thank you, thank you. It's good to be here.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your background and also a little bit about why you'd want to be mayor of New London.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I would refer anyone who's watching to visit my website as well, which is www.finizioformayor.com, and I have the full 20-minute taping of my announcement where I describe my process to make the decision to run, and also my full 40-page platform, which I've called A Vision for New London, which describes what I hope to do if elected. But what I can tell you here is that I came to New London not to seek political office. I moved here because I wanted to live in New London and moved here before this office was created. My partner and I were deeply attracted to the city's diversity. He being from here, his mother's family being Puerto Rican from New London for several generations, and myself having grown up in the region, always thought that New London was a great cultural place to be, a very diverse community, a place where we felt we could make a home, and we had joined a church here 4 years ago. I had joined Strike Zone Gym here 4 years ago and continued my training as an amateur boxer here in the city. And, you know, through that process, we just slowly became very involved in the New London community, made so many friends here, and decided that when we ultimately were ready to get our final house, our final home, because we are young, we wanted to do it in New London. And last year, we were just very fortunate that the market was right, the prices had dropped, the interest rates were low enough that we were able to do it. And we were happy as could be to be in the new house and be here in New London, and then this position was created. And my whole background, some of which has been discussed, and I'm happy to discuss now, but for the past 15 or so years has been in municipal government. And I'm currently an instructor at Northeastern University teaching urban law and policy, and also completing my PhD in urban environmental sustainability. So this is something that I care deeply about, and I felt that with this new position there came a real opportunity to create some great change in New London, to do some amazing things from a public policy perspective, and I felt that the position required someone with a fresh outlook and a new approach. Talked to my friends and said, yeah, I think this is the right thing to do. And so here we are.
Wow. Now, I know you had, I had spoken to you in the past about the role of the mayor in this new charter change and the potential risks of the office as well as the opportunities. Can you talk about that a little?
Yes, I will. I mean, it was a very tough decision for me when I voted on this question, whether or not I was going to vote for it or against it. I ultimately decided to vote for it because I believe that New London is a city with so much amazing potential, not only in its development potential and its physical attributes, but in the power and strength of the community that's here in New London. And I felt that the only way we were going to be able to put these different pieces of the puzzle together was if we had strong quality leadership, and the only way that I felt we were going to get that would be to have a strong mayor. But you're right, and we have talked about this in the past, this is a very dangerous kind of position. For those people at home who aren't aware of the various powers that this new quote-unquote strong mayor will have, is the ability to appoint all of the heads of the different city departments at will and relieve them potentially at will without council approval.
Yeah, there were no checks and balances.
No checks and balances.
Nothing
like what exists in the federal Constitution or the American Constitution. If the President nominates the Secretary of State or a Justice of the Supreme Court, the Senate has to confirm that person, and sometimes they don't for very good reasons. Well, in New London, there's not going to be that kind of check and balance. The mayor will appoint, and that's the end of the story. The mayor also has a veto, not only over all ordinances passed by the City Council, but also over the budget, and has what is called a line item veto on the budget, which very few executives have. The President of the United States does not have this. This is the ability to veto a specific part of the budget without vetoing the entire thing. And any of those vetoes could only be overridden with a 6 out of 7
right, not
vote. Not even a 5 out of 7, not a 4 out of 7, a 6 out of 7 vote. So when you look at these strong mayoral systems across the country, you oftentimes see people who are in them for far too long. You know, you see people in them 20, 24 years. You see a lot of examples of corruption. And in my announcement, I said the only time a lot of strong mayors step down is when they either voluntarily move on or they get convicted in federal court, you know. And I don't want to see that happen in New London. I mean, if we're going to vest this much power in one office, we need to have absolute assurance that there will be no corruption, that there will be honest, open, transparent government. Because if that authority is used well, yes, there's a lot of good that could come from it. But if it's used poorly, yes, it could be a disaster.
Yeah, the Charter Commission had tried to put a recall provision into the charter, but Connecticut law,
with state law
does not really permit that.
Right.
I don't know what happens.
Or term limits, I believe. There's no term limits on this office, and the terms are not 2 years like the council. They're 4. So if someone's elected 2 or 3 times, you know, they're there 12 years automatically. And it's very, very difficult, too, because when these strong mayors are elected, because they appoint people at will, and because they negotiate all the city contracts, it becomes very, very hard once a mayor is in there and they consolidate that power to get people that are willing to really go up against that mayor, which is why re-election campaigns for a lot of these mayoralities are always 80-20, 85-15 blowouts, if there's even a candidate, if there's even a re-election at all. So that should be frightening. I mean, it should give people real pause to say, you know, we have this new office, we created it, I created it, I voted for it.
Yeah, me too.
We all took the leap of faith, but now we've got this one election, and boy, oh boy, we better get it right.
Now, one thing that you had mentioned in your platform, that because of your background, you did not think that you needed, I think there was not a chief of staff, but
there's a chief administrative officer, or a CAA they call it, and that position, I believe, is an essential position. I mean, to have a chief of staff, to have a day-to-day operations manager, because the mayor has to go to this and that, and has to go to, you know, Hartford to testify for grant money, and has to go to New York to try to recruit a green tech business to come and move to, you know, New London. So someone has to be there 9 to 5 in City Hall, you know, handling routine operational, you know, micro-level management. But I think that you can attract someone to that position with a very competitive salary of something in the $80,000, $85,000 range. The initial discussions for that position were to set the salary at $140,000.